So, like that. And okay, perfect. So that's going. That's wonderful. All right. Okay, one last little thing that I'm gonna check here. Okay. So, today, today is a bit of a playing around kind of day. At least that's sort of the plan. I have been out taking some photos of a roadway, and I have a replica car, and we're going to try to take some pictures of this and Photoshop the two of them together so that it looks relatively seamless. At least that's the plan. Whether that's going to work out well, I don't know. But we're going to try it. So I tried this last night a little bit with my son's remote control car, and I frankly couldn't get the angles to always line up. So what I've done is, let me see, can I show you? Yes, I can just plug in another line in here. So, is that the right one? Nope. Okay. So I'm just going to plug in the other camera here momentarily and show you what I've done. Anyways, maybe I should start off with, hi, how's everybody doing? Rather than just jumping in here. I had that quick break at lunch, and I was rather rushed with all of that, so I wanted to make sure that I had my head together. All right. So the reason we're going to do this is because your next assignment is that multi-picture putting together in Photoshop. And while we did some of that last week with the cutting and all that kind of stuff, we didn't actually, put it into great practice. So we're going to try that today. As I said, I've got the little car. I've got, I thought I had some sandpaper. I'll have to find my sandpaper in a moment. and I thought it was right over there. Maybe I moved it. Anyways, so yeah, we'll grab some sandpaper, and because high grit sandpaper kind of looks like asphalt when you are talking scale models. So that will be good. And then we're gonna take that and put it all back into the computer here and see how things can get merged together. So I'll show you the pictures that I shot earlier. Let's see here. 3. Okay. So here are some of the pictures that I shot earlier. And what I intentionally did was get some motion blur on it. And hoping that I can sort of recreate that same angle with the vehicle here and sort of match that up so that we can sort of shoot that in the same direction from the same angle and then have similar lighting. Now, I don't have similar lighting here, so we're gonna open up the garage door, go out into the driveway and do it out there in the actual sunshine. I took this about 45 minutes ago, I think. What time does it say there? I can't tell from my small screen, but about 45 minutes ago. So the sun shouldn't have changed all that much. And yeah, I'm hoping that we can find a way to just sort of quickly composite these things together and make it look kind of like a real ad. Sound like a plan? Anybody have any thoughts, comments on that? Sounds like something useful? Okay, well, without any additional feedback, we will sort of begin. I've now just switched, so I apologize if you hear any reverb. Tell me if you're getting any feedback, because I have now switched to a different output, so I don't have the same. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Oops. Okay, so let me open my garage door and hopefully this will work. And mute this for a second so you don't have to hear the garage door opening. Okay, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. And I'm just grabbing my piece of sandpaper and we'll be right out there. Okay, so let me just turn my monitor around so I can actually see you guys. And zoom in on that.
No, I still see you in half my screen. I don't see anybody else. I know the screen's split between you and Jeff.
I'm sending this to YouTube as well, and that would give you full screen, but it would be delayed by about 10 seconds or 15 seconds. Do you want me to send you the link?
Yeah, well, you can. I don't know if
Okay.
I'll try and use it. But...
Richard, you can, if you right-click on Jeff's video, you can pin it, so you can just see Jeff's video.
Ah, okay, great. That works.
Okay. Cool. You guys can still hear me all the way out here? Okay, good. So I've got some 2000 grit wet dry sandpaper, and it's kind of a dark grayish color, or actually this is, I think, more greeny. But anyways, it's a dark color and it's a fairly fine grit, so it will sort of simulate pavement a little bit. And I'm just going to put them here on the table and then place the car on them. Actually, I'll probably have to do it this way. And now I'm going to go and look at my camera to take a look and see what direction the sun was coming from. So it was behind me and to my left. So I'm going to have to turn this a little bit. So that's going to be like, guess I should have glued these down. Okay, so roughly on that angle. And then I'm going to have to find a way to get a lens that will sort of match, because I shot this with the 24 before, but obviously that's real life versus a model. So I'm going to have to change the focal length of the lens a little bit to account for the size. Now, I'm shooting this back into other pavement over there, so it should be fairly easy to cut out, but I just have to make sure that I'm looking at it from the same angle. So how high was I above the car? Now, a Camaro like this is much lower car than my RAV4 that you can't see, but it's sitting right here. So I would probably be looking down on just a slight angle on a Camaro. So let's hope the Now I'm going to have to shoot this at a much deeper depth of field than I normally would, because we're looking at a... Okay, of course my wind is nicely blowing things around. So maybe we'll just lose that back piece of paper, sandpaper. Okay, so I've just blasted off a whole whack of frames from different angles. I'm going to also try to do one that's sort of flat. Don't want to lose my sandpaper here. Okay, so let's hope that we got something that's usable here. And we'll flip this back around. Okay. Ooh, that's low bright, isn't it? Oh well. That's not too bad. So I'm going to take out my card as soon as I remember which card slot. Problem with card slot, having two card slots, is that you sometimes forget which one you shot pictures on if you're not using both. And I'm going to put it into my Mac here, and we're going to ingest these pictures. Into Photo Mechanic first. Oops, wrong. Okay, so car, and I'm just going to ingest these into a folder here. And of course I shot RAW plus JPEG, and it will take a moment for all of this to come in. Is there a? Can you guys get into the other part that's open? Right. There's things about Teams I just don't understand. I gotta say. Well, I like the feature that I was trying to do last week is actually really kind of cool, but not for this kind of interactive event or class. It's okay if you're going to lecture and you bring in other guests or whatever, but it's not going to work. Specs I got. Yikes. Okay. Specs. Yeah, that one there. Okay. I'm going to tag that one, and then hopefully. Okay, here are. Something like that, maybe. Okay, so I've got my two pictures that I've tagged, and then I'm actually going to open these ones using Photoshop this time, which is not my usual image editor by any stretch of the imagination. In terms of do a basic touch-up, it's really Oh. You got me now or nothing? Okay. It's popping. Well, that's not good. How about now? Is that better? Okay. A little better? And still okay? All right. So it doesn't seem to like to be plugged in while I'm trying to use it, although my battery, for some reason, says that it's not charged. So we'll see if that works or not. But luckily we're away from having moved it. So, so what I'm just going to do is I'm going to try to take these two pictures and copy my settings from one to the other once I do a little bit of tweaking here. Of course, my neighbor has to start her huge truck. Okay, so, oops. Copy edit settings. We're readmitting you, Perry? Did we lose you, Perry? Or you just doubled up? You just can't get enough of Perry, I guess. Okay, so I've got both pictures here, and since I messed up the direction of travel on the car, we'll have to flip one of them, but that's okay. So I'm going to open them both in Photoshop. Okay. And so first I'm going to flip this one. Image. It wouldn't be adjustments. I would normally transform it. But, okay, let's do this. Transform, flip horizontally. There we go. And then I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into this one, hopefully. Copy. Paste. There we go. Not twice, just once. Unlock the background, do like that, and so now we have this. Now I can see already that it's not quite going to line up, but because I'm not quite on the right angle, but it's not horrible. Okay, so first things you got to do is we're going to select and mask the car. So first of all, we'll just do this and select subject, and hopefully it will do a nice job the first time around. Oh, not bad. And then I'm going to take my brush and just paint around it a little bit so we got the shadow there, and then we're going to feather it by a couple pixels just so it's not quite a harsh edge. Select that, and then we're going to invert it and clear it. And already we're realizing that it's more off than I thought, but even if I go like this, and we can warp it a little bit. So in transform, we can actually, let's go to perspective first. Oops. Yeah, that would help if I went back and actually selected the other part. Okay, so there we go. Escape. Invert. Oops. Invert again. That's odd. Okay. So I'm going to get rid of this section here because I only want the car. I think I've got the wrong one. I think I've got positive instead of negative. Yeah, of course. So you hold down the Option key on a Mac. And because I just want to transform the car. Right, there we go. Okay. So we're going to go back and go into our transform, and let's try perspective first. I guess I'm on the wrong layer. Yep, there we go. So let's try that again. Perspective, and we're gonna do it a little bit like that, a little bit like this. I wouldn't say that's horrifying. I don't know why I now have an issue with the background there, but anyhow, we'll work on that in a second. Actually, no, I should probably work on that now. So okay, so okay. So then I should deselect this, and then when I move this, it shouldn't have, oopsies, then it shouldn't have an issue. So let's try that. Okay, now we're good. Okay, so then when I go to here and transform, when I go to my perspective, then it should just be now that's pretty rough. I agree. Not exactly completely the way you'd want it. But some of the things that you would have to do in this particular case to make it look a little bit more realistic. But you don't want to do that completely. So you're going to have to take this down so it's maybe, so it's just got a little bit of a hint of the window there, and you want to take out all of this because there's a different reflection down there. Now I could probably mask this better than I am, but I'm just going to do it freehand. Oh, of course, because I've done it 87%. well go to the full Monty because I've got to do it anyways. Okay, just do this edge here a little bit. And then anybody have any suggestions on what else we might need to do to this to make it look a little bit more realistic? Because there's certainly no realism at the moment. Well, first I should really make that a straight line. Straight line from there to there to there to there to there. And then I'm just going to go to like that. And then when I erase in here, it's not going to be a wonky line. Okay. I think that probably should, well, better way to do that would have been to do that maybe as a cutout instead, and then screen that area rather than do what I just did. Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, we're still on a bit of a wonky angle, and we definitely have some touch up to do back here. And realistically, what I would probably want to do is then sort of select the shadow here, and not like that. And then just use the shadow, actually cut it out, and use it as a screen over top, or a multiply over top of the other. Let's see here. If I go like this. Okay, so if I X that out, after I grow it a little bit, select modify, expand by 5 pixels, modify smooth by, let's say, 3 pixels, and then X. Okay, so that's pretty close. Then I can just go back and erase around where that, oops, not there. And then when I go to paste that again, I can move that back to where it was. But instead of using it as a fully formed layer, you can overlay it, and then now you can see the bottom as well. I'm probably also going to have to soften that a little bit, so I'm going to blur it a smidge. Blur Galler. Let's do a bit of a motion blur on that. Blur, motion blur. And that, and just by a tiny, tiny bit. Just so that it looks realistic-ish. Wow, this really does not look good. The angle is all wrong. So getting all this, you know, ideally I would reshoot this and set it up a little bit better, such that I have the correct angle, because that's just totally not looking all that realistic to me. But oops, maybe if I shrink it a little bit, it might be a little bit better. So let's take this, and we're going to group from layers. Okay, and then we can then transform and scale a little bit. Okay, that's looking more realistic in terms of sizing. Not so sure that obviously the angle is still off a little bit. So another thing that you would tend to do with a car ad you would want to have a little bit of motion blur on select areas like tires. So you'd have to select your tires. Let's see here. If you are doing it, let's see if I can do this. No, I can never get in the lips properly. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then make it smaller. So modify contract by 20 pixels. Try it again. Contract by another 30 pixels. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to go and do a take this one and do a radial blur on it. Radial blur. And I would think that that should work, but maybe I have... Have I grabbed the right layer? Yeah, I have. Let's just ungroup the layers now. Try that one more time. Blur gallery, radial blur. Anybody have any thoughts on this? Because that should be spinning. But it is not. Interesting. Okay, well, we'll come back to that because I might have a brainwave. But the other thing is you want to make sure that you have your edges to all be a little bit blurred. Motion blurred, that is. So I'm just going to do a rough cut around the edge of the car here. Not too close to the edge. So we're going to go down like that. And add this. Okay, and then that should hopefully, if I can get it to blur, add some motion blur in. Yes, there we go. So you're only going to want to blur the edges, and you want to make sure you blur it in the direction of travel. Because if you tend to look at most car ads, they they want the car as crisp as possible, but they don't want it to look like it's standing still. So just the edges tend to get blurred. Just not really that great of an effect, if you ask me, but seems rather obvious to me. But then again, I guess I'm not your average consumer. Okay, so I'm gonna feather this one out a little bit. And then do my motion blur, the same amount. Oops, let's try that again. Okay, we're gonna feather that out, and then that just gives it a little bit of a sense of motion while still keeping the car relatively sharp, so that they can show you what they're looking to show you, which is a nice, cool car. Again, I'm gonna smooth this one out by 20 pixels first, and then feather that a bit. Sure. And let's see if that blur works. Radio blur. Ah, there we go. Guess it doesn't have a preview. Do the same for the back tire. Just gonna feather this one. And do my radial blur again. And we're starting to get, yep. You would, as long as your lens matched in terms of scale. So I think part of the reason that we're off here a little bit is because I'm shooting the background with a 24 and then the car with an 85. But if I shot the car with a 24, then it wouldn't look right. I think you would be on top of the car, and I don't know. To me, it would look a little bit off. Now, I mean, I can always go in and do a little bit of, warping to make it look a little bit. I don't know. Less tilted, if that's a word. But yeah, you're right. You have to have that angle. You have to have that angle down to be fairly precise to make it look correct. And I missed it probably at least by 10 degrees. There's two ways to do it. One, I could have tethered this in Capture One. So if I go and open up Capture One, and then shot it into Capture One with the back as a reference. So when this opens up, I can go into my tethering and drop an image in here to overlay. And then I can match that up as it goes. So finding the exact, I mean, obviously it would be much easier if I had a real car, but you wouldn't, my RAV4 is pretty beat up, to be honest. So, I mean, I guess I could have theoretically done it with my car, in actual size, because that's more of what they would do. They'd either build it in 3D, and you're not actually seeing the actual car. You're seeing a render of it, or if you are seeing the actual car, you're not seeing a model of it, right? you're looking at it, and it's being placed in one place and then put onto a background from something else. So there's lots of variables that you can do, but yeah, I think probably there is probably a way to calculate it, and my math skills are probably not quite that good, to be quite honest. So, I mean, if I'd done something a little bit more normal, like this picture here, and then gone with the sort of straight on view like this, maybe that might have matched up a little bit better. But I think I'm still, now I think I'm too low on this particular angle compared to the other. So that's obviously way too high. Right, but when I was down there like that, maybe I should have used this picture instead, because that seems to be at a lower angle. But anyways, it's not, other than my crazy warping that I just did, I guess it is kind of looking horrible, isn't it? I was thinking it wasn't looking that bad, but yeah, no, it's not ideal, certainly. But you get the idea that you can take a car and make it look like it as if it's going fast. I forgot to use the bottom here and do that with the motion blur as well. And we're going to modify and feather that as well. And filter and motion blur that one too. So those are some of the things that you can, I mean, obviously you would want to work it out a little bit better than what I've done. It's been quick and I didn't really plan anything in terms of measuring that angle, because frankly, when I went over to take the original picture, I was in a bit of a hurry. So I just tried to eyeball it. But yeah, if you are looking to do this directly, you would sort of measure the angle as compared to a known entity, and then measure your angle against whatever the measurement on the model car is. So whatever the scale it is. So if this is a 1:6 model or something like that, or a 1:8, I can't remember which it is, then I would be using that as a gauge to see, okay, how far am I going to be away? And you can do the math. You know, I just decided today to eyeball it, but that was probably not the best idea. But you know, I had an hour to sort of get that part prepped because yesterday just wasn't able to do it because it kind of sucked. So, and I wanted to be able to shoot this car live. So that's sort of what. That really does not look good, but you do kind of get the idea as to what you need to do in terms of making a static object look like it's moving, for one, and two, I guess we would obviously want to refine that angle as to, you know, what angle we're shooting it on, in terms of, is it straight on, the angle that way, as well as your vertical angle, and the relationship of the focal length as well, because yeah, if you shoot that with a 24 from up close, it's just not going to work. You might even be better off shooting with a different size sensor. So realistically, if you shot it with a sensor that's a sixth the size, and it's a 6th scale model, then you'd be better off. I know I've photographed some Playmobil that I was trying to sell, and it was the stuff that I shot with the DSLR didn't look nearly as good as the stuff that I shot with my cell phone, and then used lights to light it, like continuous lights to light it with my cell phone, just because of the size of the lens and how physically close you can get it as compared to the subject. So if I went and grabbed the car here, just give me 1 second. If I take the car here, and obviously it's going to be backlit because, and I use this. Okay, so it's going to be 2. There we go. That's going to be a closer way of looking at it as compared to the way we were, just because the lens, the physical size of the lens is more equivalent to the physical size of the lens I was using to photograph the background. So it has scaled similarly. So let's just do this if I can. White sheet, might as well use white sheet in the background. So quickly just put this on here. So maybe that angle is a little bit better. Obviously the lighting's wrong, but maybe that angle is a better angle than the actual one, because it's closer in terms of scaling to the actual vehicle. So if I take that, let's just do this for kicks. I'm going to share it to my laptop, if it allows me. Try to airdrop this. Has anybody else had problems with airdrop recently? Because I have, there it is. I have, save to downloads, been having serious issues with it not wanting to do what I wanted it to do. Okay, so we'll go back to here and, oops. Now we'll take that picture that I just dropped in, hopefully. And where am I? Way too many things open. It was in downloads, yeah. Okay. Okay, so our angle's off still a little bit, but it's looking more natural as compared to the scene than the other one. Just now? Because I can't hear. Oh, okay. All right then. I didn't know that. I can't hear anything because I've got the headphones in back now. So I got nothing. Let me just try one more time here with that. Go back to Lightroom. Here. And we'll go there. We'll crank up my ISO a little bit and change my white balance to auto. Okay, so I've got a bunch here that I've now taken. That seems to be on a much better angle. So let's just send that one over. And again, we're not going to obviously get the everything right with this one because we can't because of the lighting, but I think it's going to be a little bit better in terms of the scaling as compared to the other one. So Still well off a little bit, but not too bad. So if I just take my image and transform it a little bit. And select my background here. Let's try that again. Because the smart object is not directly editable. Okay, I didn't know I had a smart object. Didn't know I had anything that was smart. It's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Let's open that back up again. Rotation, flip horizontally. That. Take this picture and open that with Photoshop. And there we go. Okay, so again, we're still not quite on the right angle, but you can see that it does seem to be a little bit more reasonable in terms of scale than, yep. Okay, let's, sounds good. Okay, I'm just gonna scale it just a little bit bigger than this first. That look good. And then, so take perspective. Are we gonna distort? Or perspective? Let's just skew it a little bit. Sort of like that? Okay. Okay. I think I'm pushing too far here. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, let's do that first, and then let's do transform and distort. Better? Okay. And then, right. So essentially, like so, and get rid of this over here. And then, yeah, you can move this around. I think you'd want to have it closer like that. Again, you just have to play with those angles and see which angle and which combination work properly. It's fiddly, don't get me wrong. If you want to do this well, I mean, this obviously is not great. It's not going to fool anybody. But you can get it to a point after a little bit of trial and error. And this is not my bag. I will be totally honest with you. This is not something that I do often, and it's more something that I do for fun and to play rather than as a part of the profession. You want me to take somebody out of a picture? You want me to put somebody back in? Any of that kind of stuff? Sure. That's I can measure that up and do that fairly easily. But taking two completely separate photos and matching them in terms of what lens do I need to shoot this, and preparing to make it exactly correct. Now, I mean, the other pictures here, at least we're okay in terms of shadows. Those match up, right? The angle doesn't, but the shadows and the and that sort of thing do match up fairly well, just because of the angle of the sun, and I think I moved that. I did that fairly well, but yeah, you just have to work at it quite a bit until you feel comfortable with that. So if you guys are doing your project and you know, it's not just, it can be some sort of compilation that doesn't have really any necessary basis in reality. You can go do whatever you want. So don't feel like this is necessary to have it like this. You can put a, big stuffed animal sitting in the middle of a road that's now 25 feet tall. It doesn't really matter to me. But you just want to make a composite scene for this project that is interesting and might be something that you could see as a commercial project, whether it just be a whimsical, fun advertisement that involves, a dream sequence for something, which is, totally possible. So some child is dreaming of whatever, their little Matchbox car actually driving down the road, or this car, whatever. Or, you could go to the point of, okay, I want this as an actual ad. So I want this piece to be, look like it's going to fit in exactly. So as I was trying to do with this, that car is, I got it from GM when I was at the launch of this very car. So it's a fairly precise replica of the actual vehicle, such that GM wanted to give it out. Yeah, you could do it, as I shown you here, in an hour and 15 minutes, that I would need much more practice at it. I would need to do this multiple different ways and different times to get this where I'm happy with, because I'm not happy with this one. Sorry, you're not seeing it. I'm not happy with this one, and I'm not happy with that one, because the two things don't match. So where am I, how can I build these things? Sorry. More people on loud vehicles. How can I do this so that it is to my standard? Neither of these are. I'll be perfectly honest with you. This is a complete and utter failure in the way I was looking at this when I had envisioned it this morning. Was that because I didn't put in the time necessary up front to make sure I knew what angle I was shooting with and what the proper focal length? Yeah, totally. But don't feel you need to go in this direction with this project. It's really up in the air, and you can pretty much take it wherever you want. There have been a lot of. Did I show you some of the ones that were done in the past? Okay, good. And lots of different options there that people have. I think of Becky's from last year, or was it last year or 2 years ago? Anyways, that she had her daughter coming over the building, and it was fun and whimsical, and yeah, it didn't need to be perfect, but if you sort of try to match up what you can match up to make it look as close to real, and that's it's obviously not going to be real, but as close to being a dream sequence or whatever it is as possible, then that's what I'm looking for, is just that level of polish that I certainly have shown you that I do not have on this. And I'd be going back to the drawing board. Now, I'm trying to do this in terms of showing you this as I'm going, and I'd probably do this a little bit differently if I wasn't having to be live and streaming it at the same time. But now I'm just making excuses for myself, so we'll stop with that part. Okay. Anybody have any thoughts or questions on that? Yes, no, maybe, thoughts, comments? No. Okay. So how about we take a quick break here, because I really didn't get a whole lot of chance to shovel in any lunch in that hour that I had off. So I'm just going to go grab a granola bar, and we'll come back in a few minutes if that's okay. All good? Okay. Okay. Guys hear me again? Okay. So for the second half, I kind of wanted to get a little techie. Not that that wasn't. We're going to kind of move past the Photoshop stuff. So I want you to just sort of do your own thing there and sort of have that worked out how you want to do it. But I wanted to take a few minutes and sort of go through the different ways that you can get your pictures from camera to client quickly, because it's really important. I talked about this in the photojournalism class, but that was just in terms of, you know, the normal method. You take it the card out of the camera, you put it in the reader, and you edit them on a computer and then send it off. But there's sometimes you don't have that kind of time. You don't have that luxury of time. Your client wants your pictures right away. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that and get the pictures off the camera quickly. The easiest way for most people is using the Wi-Fi. So let me just see here. I'm just gotta switch it so you can see the settings as I go here. Hold on a second. HDMI settings, there we go. Okay, so now you're seeing the output of my A9 Mark II. And say you're taking whatever your pictures are, it doesn't really matter, and you're wanting to get those pictures in as soon as possible. Well, there's lots of ways to do that. Wi-Fi being the easiest, so you could theoretically just go in and let's see here. Send to smartphone function. So if I use this, actually I gotta unplug my Ethernet cable that I've got plugged in here. But if I do this, I can send to my smartphone via the Imaging Edge app for Sony. Now Canon has one, Nikon has one, everybody has one, and it's just a case of whichever company you're using, just get their app. Select on device. And then I just have to switch on my, let's see here. Oopsies, I got the wrong one. There we go. So now my phone is just joining my network here that my camera has set up. And there it's connecting. And okay, so now if I turn this back on to being a camera again, then this has come in here. I've already selected the A9 Mark II was the camera that I was using, and then I can go to, let's see here, oops, close. I can go back and see the pictures that I just imported. At least I should be able to. Drawing, So that's how you would join the network. Just doing that. And assuming my camera is not on, because I'm don't send. Okay. Normally there is Normally there's a list of things that I can see, but there's the picture that I just sent. Now I've had to switch into my Photos app to do that, but I could take this picture now and send this picture over to Lightroom Mobile. And then when I've got it in Lightroom Mobile, I can do what I need to do to it. There it is there. I can, instead of info, I can edit it, make it a little bit brighter because I underexposed it. Oopsies, that's the wrong contrast. I can do whatever I need to do in Lightroom Mobile to be able to make this picture decent. And then from there, I can share that to wherever I want. So I can share it via AirDrop. So if your client's standing right next to you, you can just AirDrop it to their phone and let them deal with it. You can send it to any of these other apps, or you can email it to yourself. There's lots of different ways you could, apps that you could have on here that would let you do it. Now, the other way, and instead of using the actual Sony app, which I was using just then, I can do this a completely different way with an app called Shuttersnitch. So I'm going to actually go and do the exact same thing as we just did. And instead of using the Sony app, I'm going to use this app called Shuttersnitch. So, and instead of the camera creating the hotspot, your phone is now going to be the hotspot. So if I go in here, actually I'm going to go, you'll see that up at the top there, actually maybe I can plug this in. Hold on a second. For just a second, I'm going to plug this in. Hopefully it will work. Oh, George is saying something. Ah, okay. Let me just see what George is saying here. You can also control your camera with imaging it. Yes, you can. So, and that's helpful. Is actually you can control your smartphone with the app. But the reason I'm using this is I now have a you'll see the 172.20.10.1 there. And if I go back to my camera, then I can use this smartphone or the FTP function. Now I've got it set up as for wired. I can just set it to Wi-Fi, and I can set it so that I believe, sorry everybody, I'm looking at this backwards. There we go. So, Snitch is the one I want. Okay. And Okay, so now the camera is going to be looking for so it's going to try to connect. It says connecting. Oops, I've got the wrong one selected. Sorry. Snitch. That's the one that I want to select. So it should be looking for this. No, okay, now it's got a different one. 10.0.0.62. Anyhow, if I do it this way, it allows me to use this program called Shuttersnitch. And here's a picture that I shot yesterday with it. And I can have a whole bunch of things preset. Of course, you're not seeing that, are you? Okay, don't know why. Guess I'll have to do it this way. It's got its own directory set for Shuttersnitch. Let's see here. I do this and this. Hopefully that will not have the okay, is that focusing? There we go. So if I go in here and go to my gear up the top, then I've got all these different actions that I can do. So I can put a caption on it, or I can upload directly to an FTP site. So I was talking about FTP sites back in the photojournalism class. If I go and I click my upload to Mundo, and that's my website. So the back of my personal, well, not my personal website, but this is my website that I use for my track and field images. And if I log into that, my live upload test, and there is that picture already. And I just sent it. So you can have somebody being a remote editor for you. You can have somebody, and you can have it such that you press a button on the camera, it goes to the phone, and then it does that, sends that directly to that website. It means you could have somebody editing the wedding that you're shooting as you're shooting the wedding, theoretically. Because you could be shooting the raw file and having the raw file go directly from your camera into your phone, and then directly out to this site, and then they just click download, and bada bing, you're good to go. Or, you know, if you are wanting to have, if your client's wanting to do something in terms of social media, they can go through whatever list of pictures you've got here. So if I've got another one here that I'm just gonna click send to, so another one's coming through at the moment, and there it's sent. I hit the refresh button a couple times, and there we go. Another picture just popped in. So you can continuously have pictures going to from your camera directly to your phone, and then back to wherever you are wanting it to go to. This can be really helpful in the journalism world because I can get it directly to my editor if I need to, but the number of times that a PR person has told me or has asked me for a picture right away on site, that I don't have enough hands and fingers, or hands and toes, hands and toes, hands and fingers, hands and toes to count all those. It's quite regular that they will want a picture right now, and you're there to give them something better than a smartphone shot. So being able to do that directly is great. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that if you're in a big, busy environment, Wi-Fi doesn't work very well. It's gets congested and you can't really use it. So with some of the pro cameras, like my A9 Mark II here, you have Ethernet. And like everything in computers, you're better off having a wire connected in than trying to do something wirelessly, because there's no interference going to be happening then. So I can do the same thing here. Let me just unplug this for just a moment while I set this up. But I can do the exact same thing in terms of doing the transfer from the camera directly to this phone, but using the wired connection rather than the wireless. And then what that does is it takes the step out from having a wireless connection that could be wonky from your camera to your phone, and sometimes that connection will just drop for no particular reason. So then you can always have this set up so that it's going to be a fairly stable connection. Now, so I've got there's a few things that you have to do this. First, you have to make sure that you're not on a Wi-Fi network, because then the iPhone will confuse signals. If you have an Android phone, I don't think it's as much of a problem. But Shuttersnitch doesn't work for anything other than your iOS device. So let me see here. I gotta plug this back in so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so if I'm back in my FTP transfer thing, I've set it up. Now I've got a wired connection, and I'm on. I really wish I could make this bigger. I'm on number 5 this time. Okay, there we go. Select that one. Actually, I want to show you what's in here. So this is where you need to sort of know networking, which if you're not familiar with doing networking and you really want to do this kind of stuff, and don't get me wrong, this is not just for doing this kind of thing. I mean, if you're doing a set of grad photos, this could be useful. There's lots of different places this could be useful. So, but doing it in a way that you can see your pictures instantly. Hold on a second here. I'm just trying to get this up so I can actually see this a little bit easier. And of course, I can't. Okay, so if I'm doing this, it should be device settings. Okay, so the device setting was actually supposed to be 0.62 rather than 9.8, I believe. Let me just make sure of it. I'm gonna go back into my phone and click in, and it doesn't say that I've got a connection, so let's just say 0.62 because that's what it said before. So I'm going to go up here, 0.62. Sorry. Was it 6.2 or 6.8? Let's try that. And you have to know these port numbers for this. And I've already set up the password and everything, so all that is good. Okay, so it's going to try to connect here, and of course, likely it will screw up somehow because that's always what it does. So you sit here and you fiddle around for like an hour, and eventually it will actually work. Oh, it's not even connected via Ethernet at the moment. Hold on a second. This is why. Ah, there we go. Okay. So, oh, it was 0.98. Okay. So let's try that again. Okay. Select server. 5. Oops. And this is, oops, point. Okay, so theoretically this should work. So when I click OK and go and click OK here, then theoretically that should connect into ShutterSnitch. It says connecting, connected. There we go. Okay, so if I take a photo of the setup over there, and then I go into my view, and I press my little button that has it, then theoretically, you can now see there's that picture there that I just shot. So now that that's on the phone, I could theoretically just go, hit my export to Mundo, even though it's the crappiest picture ever, and it's gonna slowly send that picture because it's going over my self system rather than over Wi-Fi at the moment. Sorry, I live in the sticks, so cell service isn't the greatest. And George is going to tell me to shut up any second now. Okay, so eventually that will come. We're 3/4 of the way through. And if I switch back to here, and it says it is uploaded. We'll refresh this a few times, and bada bing, there we go. There's our terrible picture. So being able to do that and get that directly to your client instantly is a very, very helpful tool, whether they can, then they can do whatever they want with it. It might not be your fully edited, beautiful, wonderful composition that you totally wanted, unless you shoot everything perfectly in camera, which none of us do. Well, maybe Richard does. Not you, Richard, the other Richard. No offense. But other than that, if you get this in to here and they can pull from it, they can have that up on Twitter in another, or Instagram or whatever it is within minutes. And if they want to tweak it, then they simply download this to either their phone or to their whatever device. Doesn't really matter. And then they tweak it from there. So there's, for me, it's not just an editorial reason to do this. There are so many different commercial reasons that I can do this. And it doesn't have to be hooked directly into the phone like this. You can have a longer Ethernet cable and, tether it in over a long distance so that you don't have to worry about it. So say we're using this camera here that you're looking at me through, and that's set up as a camera at a wedding. That's your photo booth camera. So they shoot that. You can have this shutter snitch program set to automate so that it automatically kicks it through to, instead of having to wait for you to actually press the button to send it, it can automatically kick it directly through to any FTP site or put on any information that you want it to do. So that is the really important part of it, is that you can get it to totally automate so that you don't have to be there, so that, that can be sent. It can be sent to Twitter. It could be sent to, well, we've got it set to send to an FTP site, but you could set it to pretty much, well, there are some limitations to where you can send it, but even if you've got it going to your own FTP server or to a Dropbox or to something like that, it wouldn't take very much for those pictures to be quickly culled and sent back to some other sort of media, whether it be, you set up your own Twitter account for your weddings, or sorry, not Twitter account, Instagram account for your weddings photo booth, and they shoot a picture and it goes through from the camera into the server, or into the phone to the server, and then there's an action there, and that kicks it onto directly up to your Instagram or whatever. And that's the kind of quick turnaround that people are wanting these days. So whether it's me needing it for, the reason I had to learn how to do this with the wires and stuff was because I was not getting any Wi-Fi signal that was usable at a football game, because everybody in the stadium was on the Wi-Fi. So it was completely clogged up, and I couldn't get from my phone, even next to each other, the phone right beside the camera. I couldn't transmit that picture from here to here, and then out to the server that the CFL was wanting me to send it to. Well, to cut down on half of the issue, I found out how to do this rig and into this into the phone, and now I can use my cellular signal. So that's one less thing that I'm having, or one less chain or link in the chain that can be broken by something that's not my fault. So always getting that picture to the client, always being able to do more than is expected in a commercial sense, whether it's me doing an editorial sense or me working for the CFL. The CFL wants my picture from me faster than the newspaper is getting a picture. They want the touchdown to happen, the replay to be playing on the TV, and them to be getting the picture on their screen so that they can put it out within a couple minutes on the site to upload or to update. So let me just quickly switch over to the CFL site. Obviously, we're not playing CFL this year, but there was always a photo gallery that was available. So let me see here. Montreal at Hamilton. This was not my set of pictures, but this is the pictures that they are looking to see during the middle of the game, so that they can put up a gallery that's current. That if there's a let's see here. Yeah, not mine again. Really, I do actually work for them. There we go. That's mine. If they want to put up this gallery as they're going, they can do it. If they want to update the story that is on the front page of their of the news site, I mean, obviously these are all older since there was no play this year, but yeah, they can do that, and for them, that's value added. That's why they're hiring me to do it, and not just some guy who, you know, is okay at shooting sports action, but has no idea how to get it out in time. That's the point of hiring a guy like me instead. Similarly, I got told, as my wife just walks into the house, a few years ago that I probably couldn't do the... uh-oh, she's spying on me now. I wasn't going to be quick enough to do the grad photos at her high school that she teaches at. So I thought that was kind of ridiculous, because I can get pictures out to all my Newswire services, but they wanted to...
It was prom photos.
Oh, sorry, prom photos? Yeah, she says prom photos. So they didn't think I could get them to the guests or the students fast enough. Well, you know, if I can do this and have that coming onto my screen, my computer screen, such that all I have to do is hit send to their email address, or, you know, somehow upload it to their phone, that's better than... They're going to have their phone with them anyways, but do they really want to carry around a physical print all night at grad or prom? Probably not anymore. I mean, so those are the kind of things that it would be useful to be able to do this kind of thing, and make money from it. Because if you can then take that print out of the process, that's an extraordinary cost that you would have before that you no longer have. So I've got a $10 USB cable, I've got a $40 dongle, a $4 or $5 Ethernet cable, and the program I think is $30 a year. Well, okay, so I'm in it for $100. If I do 100 pictures of students at a prom, that's going to cost me more than $100. And if I do prom at different high schools, not like doing it this year, but anyhow, then my cost structure is going to be, my cost of doing business is low, and then on the plus side, they get the picture instantly. They can't wreck it or that night, you know. So there's a lot of different reasons to be going and doing something like this. Not to mention, you know, all the editorial and other benefits that I have for being able to do this. Does it work seamlessly all the time? No, it doesn't. You've got to, you know, understand some networking and figuring out what all these, you know, different parts of the system mean. And really, especially for Sony, there is no good on this. So really spent hours and hours and hours on the phone with my friends and colleagues some of whom are like Sony representatives at just trying to figure out how to do this. You could do the wired tethered now through the Sony app as well, but up until last year you couldn't. It's just been a fresh update. So the same thing is possible. So if I was to take, that was my Sony camera. Grab my Canon 1DX here, unplug from there, plug in to here, and of course I don't have any pictures on it, but I can now use, I can now take this camera and plug it in, and even though it's a Canon camera on Shutter Snitch, I can go to the menu system for that. So that's the communication settings, the network settings, and I could go through my connection wizard on the Canon here, wired, blah, 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 and it will let me go in and use the same thing. So theoretically, I can have my Canon camera and my Sony camera both, and all I have to do is pull that cord and go between from one to the other. So I think it's already got this set up. Let me just check and change TCP. So there are things about each one of these systems that is good and some things that are bad. So if I went to 9H here, that's good. I gotta go back to menu, go down one, and this is actually 0. And now this camera should be hooked up to that. Now I don't have a lens on it right now, and I guess I could get one and shoot a picture with it, but now this one will connect in just the same. And I can just go back and forth between the two cameras, and it will allow me to use either one of them for it. Now, obviously, not too many of you are buying a 1DX or an A9 Mark II, but an A9 Mark I is going to cost you a whole lot less money as soon as that A9 Mark III comes out in 3 months or 4 months from now. So you should be able to get one at a steal. I saw an A9 Mark I when I bought this one. And I was trying to sell my A9 Mark I. I saw it for $2,400 or something like that. It was just an insanely low price. So for $2,000, you're getting into a top pro camera, and then you have these kind of features. You don't always have to necessarily buy that brand new top of the line, or mid-range prosumer body. You could go with an older model like this 1DX Mark I. Yeah, it's 20 megapixels, but if it doesn't work for you as a camera, then it'll certainly work for you as a hammer. So there's lots of different uses for these things, but you may not necessarily need to buy that. I probably would, if I was in Canon, I probably would either go this style if I was looking to upgrade from anything from like 7D or so, or 70D even. I'd go either this route or I'd go with an R6. And then the R6 will give you the wireless version of this. It won't give you the wired version, but you know, that's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, in terms of most people's usage. Yes, this is, you know, a nice beast, but you know, I'm used to carrying this around. But some of you would not really enjoy carrying a 4-pound camera around all day, especially as soon as you start tacking on a heavy lens as well. So this in a 70-200 does get heavy after a while. But there is good reason to have such things, because they really they put your work into a professional class that allows you to command more money, and you know, possibly save you some money in the long run as well. So, all right. Anybody have any thoughts on that or questions? I kind of went through it a little quickly, but anybody with thoughts? No? Was that useful to anybody at all? I don't know. To me, that this is the kind of thing that I geek out over, and B, that just allows me to do stuff that I know that other people can't do. And if you guys can now do it too, that's, you know, sort of what I figure I'm here for. So, as I said, I kind of glazed over it, but the general process to get from A to B to C, or A to C, or however, you know, your pictures on the camera aren't doing you any good if you're in a fast-moving environment. So getting them off of here and getting them to your client is really what you want to do. And however you go about doing that, whether it's through a ridiculous rig like I've got set up here, or whether it's just through the Wi-Fi app that comes with the from the camera manufacturer, either way, you're one step ahead of the next guy. I mean, the Shutter Snitch app works nicely with all camera brands. So if you maybe work with other photographers or whatever, and it can accept, as long as everybody has the same information to go, like place to go to, anybody who's close enough on that network can be sending pictures in. So you could have multiple shooters sending pictures into the same server, and it would work out just fine. And again, as I said, you can set this up. Let me see if I can go back to it here for a brief second. You can set this up so that it will give you a or will do this automatically. And I'm sure now that as of, I don't know, what is it today, or is it a month from now, when things are switching over to Mac, to iOS-based chipsets on the Mac, then it's going to be completely a different story, since this program would run on your new MacBook Pro when that finally does come out. Let me just see here if I've got. Okay, this is why. So mirrored. So in this app, I'm now able to show you all the touches. Okay, so wow, I didn't even know I could do this. So you're seeing where I'm touching, and then this is my list of actions, and I can select one. So here's Tyler from the other day, and I can go here and select my upload to Mundo, and there it's going to take its time going and doing that. So even if you're doing headshots, you could, theoretically do this. I haven't turned the Wi-Fi back on, so it's going to crawl out there. But this is yeah. Mm-hmm. That's correct. So the simplest way to do that is going from the Wi-Fi Connect app would be the Sony one, or sorry, send a smartphone function on the Sony. On Canon, it would be, well, yeah, mine is a little bit wonky because of it's a 1DX, but I'm sure that there's a communication setting that allows you to go to a smartphone app with the Canons as well as Nikons. So if you can get it from to have the phone hook up to the Wi-Fi, direct Wi-Fi that the camera is putting out, it will prompt you to do that. So you say send on the camera. You say on the app, you'll say, okay, I want to receive from X camera or Y camera, and it will join the network put out by the camera and then suck the picture off, essentially. And then when you're there, you can either from the app itself, whether it be Sony's app or whether it be Canon's app or whatever, you can then from there either send it to something like Lightroom within the phone, do your tweaks, and then share that however you want to share it. Or you can, so let me just, as soon as this thing's almost done here. So if I'm back here, so that's this one that's going, actually I can cancel that. I'm just gonna close it. So if I would say in the Sony app, where are we? Photo video. So this is the Imaging Edge app from Sony. Change to on in settings. Settings. Photos. Anyways, we'll get back to that. But anyhow, I get to select which camera I want, and then once I have connected to that camera, it will bring it over. Then there should be a list of all the pictures that you have. It will either go into your regular Photos app on iOS or whatever, as this one did, and you can then send it from there. So if I go there and I click on my send or my share button, which is the box at the bottom left, then I can say share this with my wife, and that will text it to my wife. She's going to wonder why I'm sending her a text of a lens, but hopefully she can hear me and doesn't start yelling at me. So that picture's now been sent. But there's all these different options. You're not seeing that. Of course you're not, because that would be too easy. Let me just see if I can do this screen mirroring. Okay. Of course, you're not seeing exactly what I'm saying. I thought you were seeing. I thought you were seeing exactly my screen, but you're not, which is great. Let's see if I can go back this way. So there's your options that you would be seeing. So if I went down to this button down here at the bottom, go this way because then I can airdrop it to somebody if I wanted to. I can send it via text. I can post it to Instagram, anything that I really want to do. You can probably also do a Dropbox or, let me see here. There's a OneDrive. So if I wanted to put it to OneDrive, then I could send it to my OneDrive as well. Or somebody else's OneDrive. George is saying something. Oopsies. Okay. See you, George. So yeah, you've got all these options of where you can send it. And that will allow you to, then you can really do what you want. Once you have it on your phone, it's pretty simple to figure or to find where you want to go with it. So, make sense? Perfect. No problem. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I had sort of thought up and scheduled. I know we're a little short of time today, but if you do have any questions or thoughts that you want to run by me about the upcoming project, then we can do that. Yeah, that I can sit around and wait for anybody who wants to talk to me about that. Or did I not already? The photo compilation? Okay, it's probably just hidden. I probably just hidden it on you. Okay, let me find where I've hidden it, because I'm pretty sure I just put it into a folder that I haven't shown you yet. To be honest with you, usually I just stick the next week's assignment. So let me take a look for that, and I'll make sure I have that posted in the next couple hours. I think I don't even know where. Too many things on my computer running at the moment, so I'll have to just look that up. But I've got the list of all the assignments, and I know it's on D2L already. It's just a case of, it doesn't look like I've hidden it in week 5, which normally would be where I would have this. So anyways, so next week we're going to be doing food. So you're going to get to watch me shoot some food photos in here. I'm going to be cooking for myself, essentially, and normally I would be taking requests, but you aren't here, so for the first half of the class, I guess I'm just going to shoot it, and then the second half you can ask questions and you can listen to me mumble out the answer as I eat my food. So, sound fair? Okay. Are you criticizing my culinary skills there, Mike? Oh, okay. I see. Yes, my other career as the chef. Yeah, no, yeah, you I only poison myself and sometimes my family. So, my wife is chirping at me from the other room. I don't quite know what she's trying to tell me, but oh, I can start cooking tonight. She says, "That's great." All right. So yeah, if you have any questions, just stick around. If not, I will see you guys next week. Sound good? All right. Take care.